All right, thank you guys. I want to reorient everyone's perception, and present day people should have plenty of practice with reorientation. I actually want you to think of the law as the great filter, because it is. We get to be the filter of the law, and we get to make the choices and apply the law the way that it's supposed to be. So we get to be the filter that everyone else moves through. We get to put the guardrails on the future. Right? That is our job. I tell people that the truth is pricey, real pricey, but everything else costs more. Everything else costs more. The truth is the only thing you should be relaying to people, because it's the only thing that's real. The only thing we appeal to here is reality. The war that we're currently in, you first want to realize how to fight it in yourself, right? I am a domesticated animal. The hardest thing to do is to get my instincts and intuitions under control so that I could align them with what is real. They're not built to match this place. We mature people into being able to match their intuitions to reality. Then it becomes easier for you to make decisions because it requires less thinking. It becomes an intuitive thing to apply discipline or compassion or to be a container. Knowing what to do starts to come to you naturally. You want to analyze at what scale you can be effective fighting the war, right? I'm a domesticated animal. That's yourself. Then your family, right? If you can't keep your family secure, that is where you fight the war. Then you move out to your neighborhood. That's essentially where your children can walk to. Then you move out to your town, county, state, etc. But we choose violence. We choose violence. Our enemy chooses violence, right? We can at least use their tactics the way they use them against us. We can rally, we can walk through the institutions, we can yell, we can shout people down in public, we can show up at public offices and make our case that there are criminals in positions of power. We don't manipulate minds here, we free them. I don't want you to react to the enemy's maneuvers. I want you to retaliate against their intentions. They intend to harm you before they do anything. They make their intentions very clear. You are afforded the right to attack those intentions. You are currently under the rule of an occupational force. You should be resisting that force. You should rule over yourself. And where you are self-determined, I used to tell people to seek forgiveness as opposed to permission. But these people that you are dealing with are no one to seek forgiveness from. If you do something that should require permission, but you do it anyway, right? And they come after you, hoping that you will appeal to them for them to forgive you, they are your enemy because you haven't done anything wrong. You've made a choice. I want everyone to do some very rough math. I tell people we only need a small percentage of capable men to do what needs to be done. Most people are dependents. They are children. They are women occupied by those children. They are elderly, right? Already you're missing more than half of your people, and we haven't even got down to dysfunctional people and incompetent young men and so on. There are very few competent people when it comes down to it. Us working together is the easiest way to win this.
It was 3% during the revolution.
That's right. I work with some of the 3%. I work with many nonprofits and what would you call them, like political. A lot of people think I'm political because I work with so many political people. I'm not, but I work with campaigns and political people and so on. So if you want to be part of another type of movement or association with our movement, is something that your social capital or reputation cannot handle, because we We walk through everything and slay every sacred cow. If your people have sacred cows that they can't afford to be slayed, or you can't afford to slay them in front of them, I have other options to put you to work in ways that are directionally aligned with us. I broke down proximal ways to fight the war. I'm going to give you a few other categories to look at the world through so that perhaps you can re-equilibrate your locality. In education, pull your children from the government schools with immediacy. They're harming them immensely, more than people know. In the economy, keep all your money in your network. Keep all your money in your network and stop spending your money on entertainment. That's food, Netflix, whatever. Screens are an exhausted medium unless you are interacting directly with people you are socially engaged with, right? Family. Start a family. Support the families around you. Support the children around you and treat the family as the smallest political unit. Don't treat people like their preferences matter, because they don't, not unless you can meet them together, right? Politics. Run for local office. Run for local office. People usually lose the first time around, but if you run twice, you usually win the second time around. And you can do a lot from a position of political power, but furthermore, you can teach people what it's like to be a true politician. Our politicians are snake oil salesmen, right? They're trying to tell you they can do something for you. The politicians in this country are representatives. If what they're doing when they are talked to is not, I just do the will of my people want this, I represent their interests, not my opinion, nothing like that. If politicians are airing their opinion, they are stealing something from you. They are to do your will. Government. Your government should only ensure and defend your rights. If your government is not ensuring and defending your rights, it is not your government. It's someone else's government. We teach governance and statecraft. I have a little series. This might help people interact with the groups that they come in contact with. Be responsible with nature. Be reciprocal with your in-groups. Be reasonable with your out-groups. Be retaliatory with your enemies. Be rebellious to oppressors. And be revolutionary with tyrants. Organize locally to resist. Train and educate your people as revolt. Use activism and advocacy as means of rebellion, and lawfare as means of revolution. Excuse me. There is a battlefield that everyone can fight upon. It's where you get to decide what matters. And once you decide what matters, everything that stands in the way of that is what objects. Right? The world is made up of matter and objects, things that matter to you and things that object to the things that matter to you. Everyone can fight on the grammar field. Everybody, kids included, right? And they already put your kids on the front line, so at least give them the tools to communicate the way they need to. Your grammars are grounded out in metaphysics, meaning most people think in words and they construct their futures in words and they construct their thoughts in words. So their words constrain how it is they can look out into the future. And to give them new words and new paradigms and new tools gives them a new way to see things. So I'm going to run down a list of about 20 things on how to change the grammatical paradigm so that it favors us in our explanations. When you hear people say right and left, alter the frame. We want reciprocity and irreciprocity. Those are the differences that people are looking for, not right and left. Those are instincts that we need. That's just masculine and feminine. We can't pit them against one another. When you hear oppression, you ask people if they just don't need to be civilized. You were domesticated. You're not being oppressed. You're being asked to regulate your emotions and have some impulse control when you're in the commons. We are communists, not communists. Right? We are going to build up the commons. We give everything back to the commons. If you are poor, you can give your behavior back to the commons. Right? Jesus was a king because he gave his behavior back to the commons. He was a sovereign because he spent everything he had on the commons. Cooperation, not compromise. Production, not consumption. Natural law, not natural rights. Laws require the duties. Forbearance, not tolerance. Tolerance is a limit. If you are tolerating something, it will push you to your limits. Forbearance is an investment. You need to invest in the people around you. You need to forbear for your children. We use proportionality, not equality and equity. Proportionality. And that gives you an opportunity to apply punishment and correction in a window, meaning the proportional response to something has an intensity that is necessary. That intensity resides in a range. We teach people to judge, which means your preferences and opinions don't mean anything. Judgment is something that you can do. Methodology as opposed to ideology. Anyone who posits heuristics for making decisions is lacking the proper knowledge in science. We use a methodology to move through decision making. You can learn that methodology. I use the word ought to propose that what I'm saying is a command. You ought to do it because if you don't, there are consequences. You want people to get away from demand, and you should. Right? You should do this. Alignment, not unity. We went over that earlier. Mastery, not novelty. Dig down into what you are good at and become an expert. Don't continually find new things. This place pushes information in front of you, new patterns, and where, oh, look, something shiny. That's what people do. We have to be resistant to that and master what everyone else is ignoring. I want you to be active in your lives, not passive. Passive people get walked over. Right? We've been passive as a civilization. We've been walked over. It's no more of that. I want you to think in spatial means, not visual means. We are territorial animals. You don't own the thing that's on a screen. People don't change their mind because of abstractions and information. They change their mind when they're afforded a landscape and tools to change the world so that they can change their lives. And lastly, gods, not men. We are looking to transcend. Men is a group of animals, right? From an ape-like creature. They are predictable. Our economics, the economic measures that we capture, prove that humans are irrational consumers, driven by impulse and instinct to do the things they're doing, justifying those things afterwards as if they were good, as opposed to making the calculated choice beforehand. I don't know if there's a godhood past being able to look into the future. Well, that sounds like a superpower to me, right? You can see into the future. We are the people who see these patterns of persistence, and we can get out ahead of them. We get to choose the rules that are here. That's the final thing I want to say to you. Man is a rule maker. Right? We're a game designer. Society is a game we play together. If it's a game that people don't want to play, we're not doing a good job making it. So we should be looking to call back all the recent legislation and mandates and so on and unleash our people in a lawful fashion. You can act any way you'd like and pursue anything you want as long as you do it in a reciprocal fashion. If you are to do it any other way, I will license every other man to remove you from our polity. And that is it. So, I'm glad to have you guys on my side in this mission. You are my people, and have a great weekend. Thank you for coming.